Welcome to the podcast where all your media wishes are granted. You'll have VIP access to thought leaders in business, media, publishing, and more. Let's kick it with Julie Loken and the Media Casters.
If you are not sitting down, you need to sit, because I have someone so amazing. Her story is so amazing. You're just going to be sitting on the edge of your seat, and I'll let her introduce herself. Valentina Nicolette. She is a PR goddess. She takes hip hop legends to the next level. I mean, it is for real. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, but it is for real. Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Hi.
There she is. Hi, Valentina.
Hi. Thank you for having me on your show today.
Welcome to the Media Casters.
I'm aspiring to be a PR person.
But you've done amazing things. The majority
of my business that I do is more in talent management and activations and tour management, logistics, stuff like that. But I'll take it. Thank you so much.
But you're taking legends and keeping their stories alive, I think. Tell us a little bit about your background before we dive deep into your amazing story.
I have been doing my pursuit of my career since I'm about 13 years old, starting as a teen night promoter in New York City nightlife.
You started at 14, did you say?
13, actually.
13. That sounds illegal to me.
No, it was teen nights. There were parties for people my age at the time. And then I evolved and I learned, how to go about the ranks in the promoting game and all that type of stuff. And I aged into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of fun at the time. But, one thing about where I'm from is Staten Island, we're not like anybody else anywhere. That's why it seems to me MTV likes to follow us and whatever. But getting back to the point, so I've been doing this since I'm very young.
Mm-hmm.
After doing events for so long in my life, other people started to come to me to help them with their events.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I was sitting in a meeting with the owner of a club, and he had to go early because the PR people were coming in
mm-hmm.
to discuss whatever. And I noticed when PR people were in the room, the owner moved faster and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I ended up doing was I ended up striking a relationship with certain PR people. And then in understanding the business that I'm in at the time, I had better opportunities to bring better deals to the club, to myself, etc., by lending my relationship to certain people with a significant level of influence. And that bought me the opportunity to be in their circles. So I used to save money on their budget because the way I would monetize something was completely different than what the club would offer anybody else. So I leveraged my relationship. They invited me into bigger circles. Next thing you know it, I'm producing a birthday party with Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan? Shaka Khan?
Her 60th birthday party. Yes. Her 60th birthday party, 40 years in the music industry. It was the 60-40 big birthday celebration.
Mm-hmm.
I helped one of the main producers for that event. And then I got invited to do one of her concerts with another promoter in New York City. And being in the mix with that, actually, there was somebody from the United Nations team over there. And they invited me to put together a concert that we ended up doing called End Ebola. And it was actually hosted by Lisa Vanderpump. When she was at the UN, I was actually one of the main producers of that event. And the people I worked with at that event actually ended up, inviting me into their circles. One of them turned into my mentor, Mr. Jimmy Mix, who at the time was just starting to manage Salt-N-Pepa, and he was already managing I'll Be Sure.
I love that.
Working with Jimmy, it just turned into just being around at the right time. One day I'm on the bus, having somewhat of an argument with Jimmy, and Pep looks over and she's like, there's something different about this one. And then the next thing you know, both Pep and Salt had a conversation. and I was evolving on the team until like one of their teammates like ended up leaving, and then I took that position.
Oh.
So you know, the rest is history.
So I mean, this is so amazing to have you here because not only have you just helped iconic legends just keep their story alive, you're keeping your story alive. And I think even the small entrepreneurs, creatives, those people that listen to this podcast, why do we need to keep our stories alive? And what are your best tips in terms of keeping that story alive?
Sure. So one thing I want to say is, I think that when it comes to the people I work with, especially, you know, when people put all the work in for their
Mhm.
whole entire career, it's theirs to own. I don't want to own anything other than the fact that I know how to put on a cheerleader's uniform and help
Oh, you and
be
me
part
both.
of the rah-rah, right?
Hmm.
But at the same time, getting back to your question is, at the end of the day, it's important to keep narratives alive from the past and
Hmm.
your footprint, especially as an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, because people need to know what you're doing, right?
Hmm.
They need to know how they could tap into you, and you need to put yourself into what I always tell people. I always tell people to you know, just jump in traffic, so to speak. Make sure that you're you know,
I'm going
easy
to
to.
quote you on that.
Yeah,
Jump in
and
track.
listen, by the way, I always see the real conversation. I'm like, yo, just play Frogger. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
just and just let it work for you. Like, you know, one thing that everybody always gave me feedback early on is that I've always been able to throw something at the wall, whether it's going to stick or
Mhm.
not is secondary. It's the effort and it's the passion at the
Mhm.
as I throw it, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Some amazing things are going your way, and you have a story as well. And this is where I think you are you are destined to be. You are destined to be the story tale of your life. And
Okay.
if we fast rewind, you know,
Mm.
what is I don't know, what are you? You look like 29,
I'm
30.
40.
You're 40. Oh my God. Looks
Mhm.
gorgeous, girl. You know, seriously, if we rewind 25 years, you were a
Mhm.
whole different person. Really. Seriously.
I was always the same person.
Oh, okay.
I would say
Yeah,
that
good.
for me, I was just wearing a mask, right?
Mhm.
So a forgery for decades through peepholes is what I say.
Mhm. Wait, say that
Um,
again. I like that.
yeah, a forgery for decades through
Mm,
peepholes.
wow. That's
You know what I
good.
mean? Yeah, because I was signing somebody else's name on everything that belongs to me,
Interesting.
still to this day, right?
Wow.
Um, oh, I've been writing poetry, so this is the stuff.
No, I love this. Oh,
But
I want to read
um,
your poems. We need to put a book together of poems by
you know,
Valentina.
let's
Mhm.
talk. I've been inventing my my coping and I guess
Mhm.
understanding of oneself deeper.
Mhm.
And I've been writing and stuff like that. But getting back to my point is like, even when I looked different, I was always the
Mhm.
same person.
Mm.
I just couldn't, at the time, I couldn't like get over the hurdle in my head about what existing as someone who is transgender would
Mhm.
be for me. You know, bearing in mind, you know, I run around with a lot of people from the boys club, right? And
Yeah.
you know, the
Hip
music
hop. Yeah.
industry and the macho-ness of the music industry
Yeah.
with hip hop and you know, all of that. Like I never really was that person to feel that I would be able to fit in. And it was in my head. You know what I mean? Like it's the like for me, like I'll give you a perfect example. There are people out there that are my biggest supporters that I thought wouldn't even answer the phone. Like
Mm.
literally wouldn't even like pick up the call, so to speak. Like would be like, nah, you know what? Great knowing you, whatever the case may be, you know, because I was in my head, right?
Mhm.
And then there's people that I really thought would be there on the other side of this. And
Mm.
those are the people that I actually was wrong about, right? So I say all that to say that I feel that I have to give myself the ability to actually give people the opportunity to show me where they stand in things and experience it without fear. But there's a lot of fear for me when it comes to my coming out story and what really held me back. I started transitioning at 39 years old.
Oh, that's
Okay.
only 1 year ago.
No, not even. I'm only 10 months old, so to speak. I just,
Wow.
my 1 year transition anniversary is 2 months away in January.
You're rocking it, girl. And you know,
Actually, no, now it's 1 month, but almost 2, because it's the end of January.
Okay.
Today's December
3rd.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's so bold. And, you know, we've had conversations, Valentina, about this, and it tears my heart for those people that are in the LGBTQ community and they can't come out, they can't be who they are, and it leads to depression, often suicide. And this is why I see you even having this conversation today being a huge role model for this community, that you can do it. It's not easy.
Yeah.
You're doing it. I mean, and you're one gorgeous girl, by the way. Something to say.
Thank you. I'm gonna take my glasses off.
And her mom is a hairdresser. Is that the right way?
Mommy's a hairdresser. She didn't do my hair. Obviously, I'm a little messy today.
We like messy, but that's what I love, messy.
I love messy. I love like punk rock princess. She told my hair. But what I was gonna say is that I don't want to be anything but myself, right? I want to exist in spite of. When people say, no, you can or whatever, no, actually, that's what it is. You know what I mean? Actually, on the topic of existence, it's my white whale. I'm always chasing it. I'm never, it's like,
what's a white whale? I've never actually heard that.
It's an analogy to, you know, the very popular Moby Dick book.
Oh yeah.
You know, and basically
very popular. It's like classic, iconic book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm going in my little thing. I'm like, not the word I want to use, but I used it anyway. But my point is that it's going to be my undoing to some extent, right? I'm gonna die, you know, on the search of what existence means, right? And I accept that and I understand that for myself. But getting back to my point about the inspirational dynamic, I'm not here to inspire, except that I am, because I think that knowing that I'm doing things for me and living in my authentic, true self, living, you know, out my ability to, without any fear of judgment anymore or anything like that.
Wait, I have fear of judgment. You know, you don't at all. Like, it's not a palpable fear, but not always. I skirt upon the idea that what are people thinking, and it's none of my business what they're thinking.
I think that, you know, we're all human, and it's part of our flawed human existence, right? I would also say to you that what I say, I don't fear being judged. You know, I'm talking in the context of my trans identity while we're on the topic. You know, I'll walk in any room feeling, wearing anything, feeling as comfortable, whatever. And I would say that those people who live in their authenticity unapologetically, and I'm as unapologetic as it gets.
Oh, awesome.
You know, it's just part of what comes with the bag, but I don't want to acknowledge it so much that it changes how I show up authentically. If that makes sense. Like, I don't believe leaders could be leaders with the right path unless they're not paying attention to anything behind them. They're only focused on what's going on in front. Because every other variable that comes up is a distraction. And maybe pulling you off from your goal. It's longer story for a different day.
No, but you are who you are, and you're living who you are, and that's it. And that's why I don't actually think it's important to make an issue or a talk about it. Talk about how you worked in a very machismo-dominated industry. And I don't know, I'm putting words in your mouth, silently suffering. I'm not sure, just because you so wanted and yearned to be who you truly are. That's not a story, but the story is the people that hear it, they might either think differently about it, about themselves and about others.
There was definitely a level of suffering and silence, right? But I had to realize that I was the one keeping myself captive. Like I was in my own way. Like the machismo dynamic could exist. Everything that we're talking about contextually could exist. But for me, and especially because I have to own my own accountability to myself, I'm the gatekeeper of that. I'm the one that controls what lives inside my head, regardless. I'm left to interpret. My interpretations are going to then therein, affect my reaction, responses, etc. So once I kind of took a deeper dive into myself, and it was a lot of work.
Did you go through therapy or?
Yeah, I'm going through therapy.
Okay, you have therapy.
As someone who's seeking, the whole gender affirming care and everything going on with my life. There is a dynamic of mental health counseling that I do.
Yeah.
Not only for surgery, and I think that's important. You have to really, engage your mental health. I also think that when it comes to mental health, even though there are correlations with mental health and gender and, the incongruence of the dynamic of what you feel in your body versus your gender versus your sex, etc. When I'm experiencing my own transgender dynamic, I was never suicidal.
Oh, thank God.
I was never suicidal.
You had a supportive family, though. Your mom was
I do have a supportive family too. And I think a lot of people just kind of think things about, people who they don't understand, and they just kind of give generalizations and stuff like that. So I just want to say, like, I'm sure I'm not the only one that went through a dynamic of gender and the road where suicide wasn't the issue, right? I can't speak for everybody, but that's something that the healthcare system now safeguards, so that we're given the opportunity, like I'm given the opportunity to get gender affirming care, which does.
I love that, gender affirming care. I've never heard that before. I love that, though.
That's the correct term as far as I'm concerned.
Wow, I love that.
But that does affect my mental, knowing that, I have that type of support at a level of medical. It's no longer like there wasn't always a level of understanding when it came to transgender topics, And it's no longer in any type of psychological diagnosis. Like there's no DSM diagnosis that will that's needed in certain states and things like that. It's not considered anything psychologically off or anything. It's left as a medical conversation, not a psychological one. So self-care, mental health, behavior, all that has everything to do with my own volition rather than what's forced on us, so to speak, to fit a mold.
Do you think society is more accepting? I mean, because if you have just transitioned in the past year and you're highly successful, you're managing a lot of artists and their stories, I don't think a lot of people, I don't know. I'm not going to put words into your mouth or.
I think as time goes, society, evolves, right? Society evolves with technology. So society evolves with seeing how other cultures and other dynamics of, people in marginalized communities are existing and sharing their level of opportunity to give people a look in the other side of the fence, put your foot in the show type of thing. And I think that's gotten better over time. This time around is my first time I was medically transitioning, but I have been battling my gender my whole entire life. Like I came out to my mom when I was 15 saying, "Mom, I'm transgender."
Oh,
right?
Wow.
It's so long ago, to your point. I came out to my mom when I was 15, but my mom also now, looking back at things, tells me like I was asking for dresses when I was a much younger child.
Oh, interesting.
And I feel like I understood that I was in tune with this incongruous of my gender within myself, even before I understood like the difference between boys and girls, just from a point of just knowing myself. I've always known that I was going to land here. I just delayed it. I didn't know if I was going to be able to actually have the strength to feed myself the opportunity to exist the way I am. And I just got to a point where there was no other way. No choices, just no other way. You can't starve. Like I was starving myself from being me.
And sometimes the God or the universe or whatever gets it wrong, and it makes me think about our externals and why do they matter? Because what I see before me is a beautiful soul, a beautiful human being that cares, who's really freaking smart, but it's the reality. It's the reality of life. And when we're different, when, if we happen to be blonde, people think you're stupid. Meaning me, not you. Like you just get judged no matter what. And that's what we have in common here, being blonde. I'm unapologetically blonde. I might be like a dirty blonde, but
I feel you.
Blonde.
I feel
It's
you.
blonde. Never been anything else. But, and that's like a silly analogy, but that the fact that Valentina sits here in strength and speaking her story and simultaneously doing what she does best, this is why I am not, and we talked about this earlier, I'm not holding you accountable, but I know by just deference to your platform, you are someone that is going to affect somebody's life. Someone's going to listen to this, either a parent or someone going through this, or a child or a brother or sister, and saying, why is this even a problem? Why is this something in my mind? We're all humans. And how can we ever get to that place? It almost seems impossible.
I mean, I appreciate you saying that, and I don't take it lightly. But what I want to say is that I am me, right?
You're
every day I wake up, whatever version of me I am, right? And I'm constantly evolving what the definition of me is, right? Especially now that I've aligned, what I've always felt was me with what you see now, right? But I'm gonna land here and say that I appreciate knowing that my footprint could be seen in the sand or whatever the case may be. Other people might be able to follow my tracks. But I want that also to say that everybody has a different map. Everybody has a different way of going about their life. And I'm still looking at my own map.
Okay, everybody listening to this amazing human being, Valentina Nicolette, I'm going to put everything about her in the show notes. She is changing the face of hip hop, first of all. I mean, like, who thought I'd get to talk to Valentina? I'm so excited. Number one. Number two,
I agree.
And she's changing the face of
I'm changing my
conversation, changing the pace of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I know she's got a lot of exciting things going on.
Like what I'm hitting press about now is like I'm this trans chick in New York City doing live talent curation at a gentleman's club.
Okay, there you go. I mean, who does that? Not
me.
Who
does that, right?
You're just open to anything and all sorts.
I am. Well, I gotta tell you that when I was at the hospital, because we didn't talk about any of this stuff, but like I used to be a manager in neurosciences and
you do everything.
And when I was running the speech pathology office, I used to see a lot of people come in, who were just recently surviving a stroke, and their patterns of speech would change, or like they would be able to articulate themselves the same way anymore. And if you know anything about a stroke, it's sudden onset, like that. Right? Sometimes it's going to kill you on the spot. Sometimes, you get a chance to actually live it through. And because of modern technology in medicine, you could live more than you'll die. Right? So understanding that balance in life, like when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. Like, what do you got from it? Right? So I used to look at those patients, and that actually inspired me in one of my earlier transition moments, um, years and years ago, before I started doing the music business stuff, where I was starting to grab life by the horns differently, because I felt like, yo, I gotta be me. And I just scared myself away again. But this time around, I got COVID, and I got really sick. And I was in the hospital. I was so dehydrated, they had to put a catheter in me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in the bed, so uncomfortable and so sick, still not being able to breathe right and whatever, because COVID. I had real COVID, not the one that before the shot. And I was scary because I live alone and blah, blah, blah. So I'm in the hospital bed, and I'm laying down, and I'm like, knowing what I did in my life, like having toured the world with everybody I tour with and blah, blah, blah. If I died right now, would I have died happy?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer to myself was no.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started to really unpack that. And I started going to doctors and really getting in touch with that fact. Being home so long, in the pandemic when you couldn't leave the house, just I became an enemy with the person in the mirror until I actually called the truce.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that worked out. And I got diagnosed officially with gender identity disorder is not it. It's gender dysphoria, which is the medical term. And when I got diagnosed with gender dysphoria, I didn't take the medicine right away. I started to look into sperm banking.
Mm-hmm.
So I used that as an excuse to buy a couple more months of being my now dead name, so that I could put my head around how I'm going to tell people and give people the opportunity to know what these things are. So what ended up happening with that was I finished, and the girl who gave me the glasses and I got into an argument one night. She's like, when are you going to do it? You've been going to the doctors. I know you got your medicine, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, I'm not ready. I can't do it. Like, I'm looking at like the schedule. I'm looking at things coming up. I'm looking at what's happening next with artists and all this stuff. It was starting to pop again for me. And then I came home and I broke down in tears, and I just was always coming in and seeing all the pills, all the bottles, like just staring at me and waiting for me to take them. 6 months worth of hormones and what have you. And I just, ended up making a post on social media, and then just like putting my phone away for an hour. I came back. It was like crazy amount of messages. What's going on? Are you serious? Because I did it like artsy. I had like a little Harley Quinn statue and picture of my hormones and all this stuff. I'm like, yo, I'm going to be going through a transition, blah, blah, blah. And nobody took it serious first. Everybody thought it was either joking or, oh my God. And then other people came out like, oh, yo, I knew it, because I was never really engaged in more macho conversations. Like I didn't act like, I guess, typical or whatever. So I got a mixed amount of feedback, and a lot of it over time has either chipped away at me or empowered me. Really depends on what day I'm experiencing those moments. And everything's a challenge to explore what I consider graces and what I want from people in the grace I feel I need or want. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't mean to rattle, but
No, it's powerful. It's powerful.
You got
It's
me thinking out
powerful.
loud. Yeah, thank you.
And I mean, I'm honored to know you, Valentina, whether
Same.
you're a guy, a girl, a frog, a dog, whatever. I'm honored to know you as a human being, and you inspire me, and your gripping story really has me thinking not just about sexuality or being trans. It's about how we treat ourselves and how we treat others. And then we all have the power to do what we want, but it's so important to have those people around you that understand our journeys, and you never know. So tell us, as we're rolling out of here, what excuse me, what's on the docket, and where can we find you, girlfriend?
All right. I mean, the best place to find me is my Instagram, AKA Italia, which, by the way, Pepa gave me the name. I rolled with it and just made it my Instagram name. So that's the best place to reach me. Obviously, I'm on Clubhouse. Like, I'm addicted to this thing. Not as much as I used to be, but
yeah, me neither. I love you, Valentina. I would love for you to come on again and again and again. And I can't wait for you to write your book and start your podcast and stay on stages and be the amazing woman you are. Guys, you need to check out, of course, my new BFF, Valentina. And I'm so grateful for you. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. We love you as much as we love Valentina. So just share it, subscribe, rate, review. You're going to get to meet more people like Valentina and hear more powerful stories like this. What's that?
There's only one me. Just saying.
There's only one Valentina. You're never going to hear a story like this. So, but she's amazing. I'm so honored to be here with her. And until we meet again, let's kick it. Kick it.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Media Casters. You can keep this conversation going and kick it with Karina and Jules in live office hours each week. Visit themediacasters.mn.co to sign up. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe whenever you listen. Let's kick it.